Nobody had attacked the Aegis Belt in 600 years. Not because they lacked the courage, because they lacked the ability. The belt was not a single structure. It was a system, layer upon layer of fortress stations, sensor grids, and defense fleets that never powered down. It surrounded the capital sector of the Orion Dominion like a second skin. The Dominion called it the untouchable zone. No enemy had entered it. Not once. Not in 6 centuries. Then, on an ordinary cycle, something impossible happened. It started with a gap. Sensor Officer Davin Reck had run this skin 10,000 times. The grid never froze. The tracking field never just stopped. But there it was, a blank space. Not empty space. A gap. Like something was blocking the scan. He recalibrated the system. The gap remained. He ran a deeper scan. The screen froze. Then an object appeared. No warp signature. No hyperspace trail. No engine emissions. One moment, the space was empty. The next moment, a ship was there. Right in the center of the untouchable zone. Alarms began to sound. Across the Aegis Belt, red lights flashed. Defense commanders rushed to their stations. Automated weapons powered up. Fleet crews ran to battle positions. Every telescope in the sector turned toward the object. The image came into focus. Silence filled the command decks. The ship was nothing like any Dominion design. Dominion vessels were elegant, smooth curves, energy sails, golden hulls that caught and reflected starlight. This ship was the opposite. Dark metal, thick armor plates, sharp edges, heavy structures built entirely around function, not beauty. Weapon mounts covered its surface. Dozens, maybe hundreds. No decorative markings. No energy glow. Just a machine built for war. On the side of the hull, painted in plain white letters, was a single word. Resolute. The Dominion databases searched automatically. No match. Command authority transferred to High Marshal Aaron Val. His voice carried across every defense channel, calm and precise. Unknown vessel. You are inside a restricted Dominion security zone. Identify yourself immediately and prepare to be boarded. No response. The ship did not move. Marshal Val frowned. Transmit again. Still nothing. Inside the Fortress Command Center, officers began exchanging uneasy looks. Something was wrong. Even pirates answered. Even enemies threatened. This ship remained completely silent. Then it moved. Slowly. Deliberately. It rotated its hull until one full side faced Fortress Station 12. Every weapon port on that side pointed directly at the station's command core. No shields activated. No engines flared. It simply aimed. For the first time in centuries, Dominion officers felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. Marshal Val gave the order. Deploy Containment Group Alpha. Within seconds, space filled with warships. 4 heavy cruisers. 10 destroyers. 2 carrier groups. Fighter wings launching in tight formation. Blue energy shields formed across the fleet. Weapon arrays charged. Target locks confirmed. The Resolute did not move. At 50,000 kilometers, the cruiser Vanter fired a warning beam. The energy lance passed close enough to scorch the unknown ship's armor. Still no response. At 30,000 kilometers, the Dominion fleet opened full fire. Space lit with white energy. That was when the unknown ship accelerated. It did not glide like a Dominion vessel. It jumped from 0 to attack speed in less than a second. Tracking computers failed to keep up. The ship twisted through the incoming fire, moving with violent, impossible changes of direction. Several beams struck the hull. Explosions flashed. The armor held. No shield signature detected. A sensor officer spoke quietly. No energy shields. The command room went still. Then the unknown ship returned fire. Not with energy. Not with plasma. Solid projectiles. Long metal rods launched from magnetic rails. The first impact struck the Vanter. Its shield flared and collapsed instantly. The projectile punched through the hull. Through the reactor. Through the far side. The destroyer broke apart before anyone understood what had happened. A second shot. Another ship gone. A third. A fourth. The Dominion formation began to break. Tracking systems struggled. The unknown ship moved too fast. Too aggressively. Within 90 seconds, Containment Group Alpha was gone. 1 ship. Against 16. Total destruction. Inside the Aegis Belt, no one spoke. On the main display, the unknown vessel slowed. It turned. Then it began accelerating deeper into the Dominion core. Not fleeing. Not hiding. Moving forward. As if the battle had only been a test. Marshal Val stared at the screen. Then he gave the order that would soon reach the Dominion throne itself. Search historical archives. Cross-reference the name on that hull. The system processed for several seconds. Then a result appeared. Species, human. Origin, Sol system. Status, restricted. Technology level, minor. Threat assessment, negligible. The command room fell silent again. One officer whispered the words none of them wanted to say. That's impossible. Because every Dominion record said the same thing. Humans were a young species. Confined to one system. Limited by treaty. Watched. Contained. They were not supposed to be here. And they were definitely not supposed to destroy a Dominion fleet. As the dark ship continued toward the heart of the Empire, one thought began spreading through every command channel. If this was what one human ship could do, how many more were out there? News of the destroyed containment fleet reached the Dominion capital within the hour. The capital world, Irinder Prime, had not faced a real military crisis in generations. Its towers were made of crystal and light. Its skies were protected by permanent defense shields. Its citizens believed war was something that happened far away. Inside the High Council chamber, the mood was very different. Holograms of the battle floated above the central table. 16 Dominion warships. Destroyed in 90 seconds. At the head of the chamber sat Supreme Executor Tal Ren, ruler of the Orion Dominion. His expression did not change as he watched the footage. Explain, he said. High Marshal Aaron Val stood inside a projection field, his voice steady. Unknown human vessel appeared inside the Aegis belt without detectable transit. It ignored all communications. When engaged, it destroyed Containment Group Alpha using kinetic weapons and extreme acceleration maneuvers. One counselor leaned forward. Kinetic weapons? Physical projectiles? Yes. A quiet murmur moved through the chamber. Projectile weapons were primitive, unstable, inefficient. No advanced civilization used them anymore. The executor tapped the arm of his seat once. How old is the latest intelligence on humanity? The intelligence director hesitated. 72 standard years. Silence. A senior counselor gave a dismissive motion. One ship. A prototype. Perhaps stolen technology. Perhaps a rogue faction. Several heads nodded. That explanation was comfortable. That explanation meant the situation was small. The executor was not nodding. Where is the vessel now? He asked. Continuing toward the inner defense ring, Val answered. Speed is controlled. It is not attempting to evade tracking. Not fleeing. No, executor. Another counselor spoke quietly. Then this is not an attack. It is a demonstration. The room became very still. A different interpretation began to form. Not invasion. A message. The executor stood. Open direct communication. All channels. All languages. For nearly 2 minutes, the broadcast went unanswered. Then a signal returned. A human voice. Calm. Male. Speaking perfect Dominion standard. This is Captain Adrian Cole of the United Earth vessel Resolute. We are operating under defensive authority. We will not surrender. We will not power down. We request immediate transmission to your highest governing authority. The council chamber went completely silent. Patch him through, the executor said. The hologram of a human appeared above the table. He wore no ceremonial uniform, no decorations, no rank display, just dark clothing and steady eyes. You have destroyed Dominion warships, the executor said. Yes, Cole answered. You entered restricted space without authorization. Yes. You are alone. Yes. The executor leaned forward slightly. Then explain why you believe you have any leverage at all. The human captain did not raise his voice. Because your first response was a small fleet, he said. You assumed we were weak. No one spoke. Cole continued. You have not updated your intelligence on humanity for 70 years. During that time, you enforced a treaty that restricted our movement. You monitored our system. You assumed we accepted that position. The executor's voice became colder. You did accept it. The human shook his head slightly. We complied, he said. We did not accept. The words landed like a weight on the chamber floor. Nobody moved. One military counselor interrupted. Executor, permission to deploy the 3rd Defense Armada. For 100 ships. We end this immediately. The executor considered it. Then looked back at Cole. Captain Cole, you have demonstrated that your vessel is dangerous. You have also demonstrated that it is alone. You will stand down, or you will be destroyed. The human did not answer immediately. Instead, he asked a question. How many ships did you send in your first response? 16, the executor said. Cole nodded. That matches our expectations. The council chamber grew very still. You expected the engagement? Yes. Why? The human captain's expression did not change. Because you still think this is about a ship. The executor's eyes narrowed. If this is not about a ship, then what is it about? The answer came without hesitation. It's about whether you still believe humans are contained. Silence. Marshal Val spoke quietly from his projection. Executor, long-range sensors have detected additional gravitational disturbances near the Sol perimeter. The signatures are intermittent, masked, but the energy output suggests large-scale traffic. One counselor whispered, "That's not possible. We monitor that region." Val shook his head. "We monitored it." The executor looked back at the human hologram. "Captain Cole, how many ships does Earth currently operate outside your system?" Cole held his gaze. "Enough," he said. Before anyone could respond, an alert appeared above the chamber. Third Defense Armada launch authorized. 400 Dominion warships were already mobilizing. The executor did not cancel the order. Instead, he asked one final question. If your goal is not surrender, then what is it? The human captain answered quietly. To see how long it takes your empire to understand that we were never trapped. The transmission ended. The Third Defense Armada assembled in less than 2 hours. 400 warships formed a wall of steel and light across the inner defense ring. Battleships in the front. Heavy cruisers behind them. Carrier groups at the center. Destroyer screens on every flank. Shield networks linked together, forming a single-layered barrier. From a distance, the formation looked like a second artificial moon. Command authority belonged to Fleet Commander Yarrick Sol. He stood on the bridge of the battleship Radiant Authority, watching the tactical display. One contact. One human ship. Small compared to the Armada. This will be quick, an officer said quietly. Commander Sol did not answer. He was looking at the ship. Something about it felt wrong. Ships that came to lose did not move like that. He opened a channel. Human vessel Resolute. You are surrounded by Dominion military forces. Power down and prepare for capture. This is your final warning. The reply came immediately. Commander, you should move your fleet back. Sol kept his tone neutral. You are in no position to make demands. A short pause. We are not here to destroy your fleet, the human captain said. But we will defend ourselves. Sol gave the order. All ships. Advance formation. Weapons free on my mark. The Armada began to move. 400 ships accelerating together. The Resolute did not retreat. It drifted forward slowly. Then something unexpected happened. Long-range sensors detected objects detaching from the human ship. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. Small shapes spreading outward. Fighter craft? An officer asked. Sensor control shook his head. No engine signatures. The objects continued drifting away from the Resolute, forming a wide cloud between the ship and the advancing fleet. Commander Sol frowned. Identify. Magnification increased. The bridge fell silent. They were solid cylinders. Metal. Long dense. Featureless. Debris, someone suggested. The human voice returned over open channel. Commander, Cole said quietly. This is your last chance to pull back. Sol did not respond. Forward batteries. Fire. The first wave of Dominion energy lances crossed space in a wall of white light. They struck the cloud of metal objects. Many were destroyed instantly, but some survived. And then they accelerated. Not slowly, not smoothly, instantly. Tracking systems struggled to lock. The objects were not drifting. They were being launched, accelerated by external magnetic fields. Impact warning, sensor control shouted. The first rod struck a Dominion cruiser. The shield flared and collapsed in less than a second. The rod did not explode. It passed straight through the ship. Entry point. Exit point. Then the cruiser broke apart as internal systems failed. Another impact. Another ship. Then another. Commander Sol understood. Kinetic saturation. Each projectile moving at a fraction of light speed. No explosive warheads. No energy signatures. Just mass and velocity. Dominion defenses were built to absorb energy, not momentum. Point defense. Sol ordered. Thousands of defensive lasers opened fire. Some rods were destroyed. Most were not. The first wave tore through the forward line. 20 ships gone in seconds. Then the Resolute accelerated, not toward the fleet, but through it, moving with violent bursts of speed, changing direction faster than any Dominion vessel could match. Energy weapons tried to track. They missed. Several beams struck the human hull. Explosions flashed. The armor held. Then the Resolute fired its main weapons. Rail systems along its spine launched full-sized slugs. Dense alloy cores. Each impact punched through shields instantly. Battleships began to fall. Carriers followed. Destroyer formations broke apart. Commander Sol shouted orders. Close distance. Surround it. Do not let it maneuver. But the human ship was already inside the formation. And then the drones appeared. Small craft launched from hidden bays. Hundreds of them. They did not fire weapons. They attached to Dominion hulls with magnetic locks, then detonated. Not explosions. EMP bursts. Shields collapsed across multiple ships. Weapon systems failed. Engines shut down. And the railguns kept firing. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it ended, the tactical display showed something no Dominion officer had ever seen. Half the armada was gone. Another quarter disabled. The remaining ships were scattered and retreating. Commander Sol stared at the screen. How many losses? Confirmed destroyed, 182 ships. Disabled, 86. The Resolute had slowed. It now floated at the center of the debris field. Untouched. Cole opened a channel. Commander Sol, this is the point where most species escalate. No one on the bridge spoke. We are not escalating, Cole continued. We are demonstrating. Sol forced himself to respond. You attacked a defensive formation inside Dominion space. No, Cole said. You attacked a ship that asked you to stand down. The commander looked at the casualty display. Nearly 300 ships lost or disabled. In 4 minutes. How many ships like yours exist? Sol asked. There was a pause. More than you would be comfortable knowing about. Silence. We are leaving this position now, Cole said. Your surviving ships may withdraw without interference. The Resolute began to accelerate. Not away from Dominion space. Deeper toward the core. Commander Sol watched it go. He knew one thing with absolute certainty. This was not a border incident. This was not a rogue captain. This was not a prototype. This was a message. On the bridge, one young officer asked the question no one wanted to ask. Commander, if one ship did this. Sol did not look away from the display. Then we have a very serious problem. The report reached the Dominion capital before the debris had finished cooling. Emergency priority. Full military loss. 3rd Defense Armada, broken. Inside the High Council chamber on Arinder Prime, no one spoke as the numbers appeared. Destroyed, 182 ships. Disabled, 86. Total personnel lost or missing, 94,000. Supreme Executor Tao Ren read the report twice. Then he looked up. How long, he asked. The intelligence director understood the question immediately. For minutes, she said quietly. Silence settled over the chamber. Not shocked silence. Controlled silence. The kind that comes when something too large to deny has finally become real. Bring up historical intelligence, the executor ordered. Full human profile. The central display changed. Species, human. Technology, emerging. Military capability, local defense only. Threat level, negligible. Last update, 72 standard years ago. 72 years, he repeated. Marshal Val spoke carefully. With respect, Executor, the vessel we engaged is not a recent development. Its design suggests decades of research and construction. Another counselor asked the question forming in every mind. How did they build a fleet without us seeing it? No one answered immediately. Then the intelligence director spoke. They stopped building where we were looking. The chamber went still. Humans had never violated the treaty openly. They had never challenged Dominion authority. They had simply complied. And while the Dominion watched the Sol system, human space had expanded somewhere else. The executor returned to his seat. For 2 centuries, he said slowly, we believed humans were contained. No one corrected him. We believed their internal conflicts would slow their development. We believed their technology would follow predictable paths. He stopped beside the main display. The image of the Resolute appeared. Dark, heavy, functional. No decorative elements. No energy shields. No elegant design. Just armor and weapons. They did not follow our path, the executor said quietly. Val added, they followed their own. The executor turned back to the council. What do the humans want? No one had a clear answer. They had not invaded. They had not issued demands. They had not attacked civilian targets. They had simply moved forward and demonstrated overwhelming force. There is one additional development, Val said. Long-range gravity sensors near the outer human boundary are detecting large-scale traffic patterns. Fleet level, possibly multiple fleets. One counselor whispered, "How long have they been preparing?" No one answered, because the answer was obvious. For as long as the Dominion had been ignoring them, the executor returned to his seat. "Marshal Val," he said, "prepare a full strategic analysis." He paused. "But not war readiness." "Not yet." The chamber looked at him. "Because if we prepare for war," he continued, "we must first answer a more important question." He paused, then spoke the words that would define every decision that followed. "Are the humans preparing to fight us? Or are they preparing to make sure we never try to fight them again?" Across the Dominion, uncertainty began to spread. Not panic, something quieter, more dangerous. For the first time in 600 years, the Orion Dominion was not sure it was the strongest power in the galaxy. And uncertainty, once it begins, spreads faster than fear. The Dominion did not announce war, but it prepared for one. Within 3 days, the largest military force assembled since the Unification Wars was ready. 700 capital ships, more than 2,000 support vessels, fighter wings beyond counting. It formed near the old human treaty boundary, a wall of light stretching across millions of kilometers. Command authority belonged to High Lord Commander Varric Thane. He had never lost a battle. He stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominion Ascendant and watched the tactical display. One contact approached from the human side. Speed, controlled. Vector, direct. The same ship. Resolute. Open channel, Thane ordered. The human captain appeared. Calm. Unarmed. Expression unchanged. "Captain Cole," Thane said, "you have crossed into a restricted defense zone. You will power down your weapons and prepare for inspection." Cole looked past the camera for a moment, as if checking something. Then he answered, "No." Thane expected that. "You are facing the largest concentration of military power in this region of space. You cannot survive this engagement." Cole nodded once. "That assessment is correct." The bridge fell silent. Thane narrowed his eyes. "Then why are you here?" The human answered without hesitation. "To show you something important." Thane gave the order. "All ships, full defensive posture. Weapons free on my command." 700 Dominion warships locked targets. Energy levels climbed across the formation. The Resolute did not accelerate. It drifted forward slowly. Then its outer hull began to change. Large armor sections separated and moved outward. Not debris. Modules. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. Spreading away from the ship in a wide sphere. "Commander, those modules are powered," Sensor Control said quietly. "What are they?" Cole's voice came over open channel before anyone could answer. "Autonomous launch platforms. They extend our engagement range." Thane did not wait. Fire. The first Grand Fleet unleashed full power. Thousands of energy lances crossed space. The outer modules were hit first. Many were destroyed. The rest activated. Magnetic fields ignited across the sphere. Then the first wave launched. Not rods this time. Smaller projectiles. Thousands of them. Each moving at extreme velocity. A storm of mass and velocity. The launch platforms were not firing in volleys. They were firing continuously. The Dominion formation activated full-point defense. Laser grids. Interceptor missiles. Plasma screens. Many projectiles were destroyed. Enough were not. The first impact struck the forward battleship line. Shields flared and failed. Thane gave a new order. "Advance. Close range. Surround the target." The fleet began to move forward. That was when the Resolute accelerated, not away, but through the formation. Moving faster than any capital ship should have survived. Tracking systems struggled. Target locks dropped. Energy weapons missed. The launch modules repositioned automatically, maintaining firing lanes as the human ship moved. Then the main weapon systems engaged. Long rail structures extended along the Resolute's spine. The first full-size slugs launched. Each impact destroyed a capital ship outright. Not explosions, just catastrophic structural failure. The Dominion formation began to fragment. "Break formation," Thane ordered. "Disperse and engage independently." But the human ship was already exploiting the gaps. And then the drones came. Hundreds launched from the Resolute and its surrounding platforms. They did not target weapons. They targeted coordination, EMP bursts, signal disruption, sensor interference. Dominion fleet communications collapsed into local networks. Command cohesion vanished. Ships were fighting alone. Thane understood the pattern. The humans were not fighting the fleet. They were dismantling it. Systematically. Then the Resolute slowed. It stopped at the center of the expanding debris field. Nearly a third of the Grand Fleet was already destroyed or disabled, and the human ship showed no significant damage. An open channel activated. Cole spoke. Hi, Lord Thane. This engagement has reached the point where further losses will not improve your position. Thane forced himself to answer. You attacked Dominion forces inside Dominion territory. You fired first, Cole replied. Thane looked at the loss projections. If the battle continued another 5 minutes, the fleet would cease to exist as an organized force. How many ships like yours exist? Thane asked. A longer pause this time. Enough to end this war before it begins. Silence on the bridge. We are not here to conquer you, the human captain said. The Resolute rotated slowly, weapons tracking the remaining Dominion ships. We are here to make sure you understand what would happen if you tried to conquer us. Commander Thane said nothing, because for the first time in his career, he believed it. The human ship began to pull back. The autonomous launch platforms reattached to the hull. The firing stopped. Dominion ships remained in position. No one fired. No one moved. Before the Resolute turned away, a final transmission came. This was one ship, Captain Cole said. A pause. One crew. Another pause. One warning. Then the channel closed. The Resolute accelerated and disappeared into deep space. Across the shattered formation of the First Grand Fleet, no one spoke for a long time. Because every officer understood the message. The humans had not come to win a battle. They had come to make sure the Dominion never risked a war. On Arinder Prime, the High Council chamber was quiet when the final transmission from the Resolute arrived. Supreme Executor Tao Rin ordered it played without interruption. The image appeared. Captain Adrian Cole stood on his bridge. No weapons behind him. No battle damage visible. No sign of urgency. His voice was calm. We are transmitting this message to the Orion Dominion High Authority. He paused briefly. For 2 centuries, your empire restricted human movement beyond our home system. Images began appearing beside him. Old treaty documents, Dominion monitoring stations, surveillance reports. You believed this control was necessary. You believed humanity was unstable, dangerous, not ready for unrestricted expansion. The executor did not look away. Cole's expression did not change. So we complied. Another image appeared. Construction facilities hidden inside asteroid fields. Shipyards built under planetary oceans. Industrial structures carved into moons. We did not expand where you were watching. The council chamber remained completely silent. For 70 years, you saw no change. No fleet growth. No military development. A final image appeared. A wide view of deep space. Dozens of human vessels moving in formation. Then hundreds. Then thousands. We used that time to make sure something important would never happen again. The executor spoke quietly. What exactly did you make sure of, Captain? Cole answered immediately. That no one could ever put chains on our species again. We did not build a war fleet to conquer the Dominion. He looked directly at the camera. We do not want your territory. We do not want your throne. We do not want your empire. He paused. Then his voice became slightly harder. But if you attempt to control humanity again. A projection of human fleet strength estimates appeared. Numbers far beyond what Dominion intelligence had predicted. You will not be fighting one ship. Silence. Then the tone changed again. Calm. Controlled. We prefer cooperation. We prefer open borders. We prefer peace. The final image showed the Resolute itself. Small. Alone. This ship was sent as a demonstration, not a threat. To show you the cost of misunderstanding us. He looked directly at the camera one last time. Humanity does not want to rule the galaxy. A short pause. But we will never again allow anyone to decide where we are allowed to live. The transmission ended. The chamber remained silent long after the image disappeared. One council member finally spoke. They could have destroyed the fleet completely. Marshal Val nodded. They stopped firing when resistance collapsed. Another advisor added quietly. They didn't chase retreating ships. The executor folded his hands. They were sending a message, he said. Not power. Not dominance. Limits. The intelligence director spoke carefully. Civilian monitoring networks show increasing fear across trade sectors. Fear of invasion? The executor asked. She shook her head. No. A pause. Fear of provoking them. That silence felt heavier than any battle report. For the first time in Dominion history, the population was not afraid of an enemy attack. They were afraid of making a mistake. The executor stood and walked to the central display. The image of the Resolute appeared again. Dark, heavy, unadorned, not elegant, not ceremonial, built to survive, built to endure. For 600 years, the executor said slowly, the Orion Dominion maintained peace through superior force. He looked around the chamber. That era has ended. No one argued, because the truth was now obvious. Peace would continue, not because the Dominion enforced it, but because humanity had made the cost of breaking it unthinkable. The executor gave his next order. Begin diplomatic outreach to the sole authority. Several counselors looked surprised. On what terms? Tao Rin answered without hesitation. Mutual respect. The Dominion did not announce negotiations. Officially, nothing had changed. Fleet patrols continued. Border defenses remained active. Military production did not slow. But across command networks, a new directive circulated. Avoid escalation with human forces. The wording was careful. Not fear. Not retreat. But every commander understood the meaning. Do not be the one who starts a war. Meanwhile, human activity increased. Not aggressively. Not openly. But everywhere along the outer Dominion sectors, long-range sensors reported the same thing. Human ships. Small groups. 2 vessels. Sometimes 3. They appeared near major trade routes. Near resource systems. Near old Dominion monitoring stations. They did not approach closely. They did not activate weapons. They simply watched. For hours. Sometimes for days. Then they left. No messages. No demands. Just presence. Inside Dominion Intelligence Headquarters, analysts built a pattern map. The results were uncomfortable. Human patrols were appearing near major shipyard systems, fleet staging areas, strategic supply routes, and communication relay hubs. They were not scouting randomly. Marshal Aaron Val studied the report in silence. They're mapping our military network, one analyst said. Val shook his head. No, he said quietly. They're showing us they already know it. Long-range sensor logs revealed something else. Human ships often arrived without detectable transit signatures. No hyperspace wake. No warp distortion. They simply appeared. The same way the Resolute had. Dominion physics teams reviewed the data repeatedly. No known propulsion method explained it. One senior scientist summarized the conclusion in a single line. Human strategic mobility, unknown and unpredictable. That report was classified at the highest level. Because unpredictability was more dangerous than power. 3 months after the Grand Fleet battle, the first direct encounter occurred. A Dominion patrol group entered the mining system of Arkan 9 for a standard resource survey. Long-range sensors detected 3 human ships already in orbit, positioned above the largest asteroid cluster. The Dominion commander opened a channel. This system is under Dominion Resource Authority. Identify your presence. A human voice replied calmly. We are monitoring industrial activity. This system is not within human jurisdiction. A brief pause. We are aware. Silence. The Dominion commander hesitated. The system produced heavy alloys. Ship-grade materials. The human ships were not claiming it. They were not blocking operations. They were watching. He considered his orders. Do not escalate. He closed the channel. The Dominion patrol completed its survey. The human ships stayed. For 2 days. Then they left. No threats. No aggression. But the message was clear. We are watching you. 6 months after the first encounter, a junior Dominion officer summarized the situation during a tactical briefing. They don't act like an enemy, he said. The senior commander asked, then what do they act like? The officer hesitated, then answered carefully, like a species that has already decided what happens if a war starts. For almost a year, the situation remained stable. Human patrols observed. Dominion fleets held position. Diplomats negotiated slowly. No shots were fired. No systems were contested. Across the galaxy, many began to believe the crisis had passed. But peace built on tension is fragile. And it only takes one decision to break it. The system was small. Designation, Corrales, 17. No strategic value. No major population. Just a mining colony. 2,000 workers lived inside rotating habitat rings around a dense asteroid cluster. The colony belonged to an independent trade consortium. Human-operated. Civilian. Its only defenses were basic security drones and a short-range distress transmitter. The attack came without warning. At 3:12 local cycle time, 3 unidentified warships exited jump space inside the system. No identification codes. No communication. They opened fire immediately. Heavy energy weapons tore through the habitat rings. The first structure depressurized in seconds. Emergency bulkhead sealed. The second ring took a direct reactor hit and broke apart before evacuation pods could launch. A fragment of distress signal cut through the static before communications were destroyed. Just 3 seconds, a single human voice. We are civilian. We are civilian. Please. Then nothing. Mining platforms were destroyed next. Then the transport docks. The entire assault lasted less than 4 minutes. When it ended, the 3 ships transmitted a single message across open frequencies. Human expansion ends here. Then they left. The distress signal reached human space 20 minutes later. By then, most of the colony was gone. Casualty estimate, 1,482 dead, including 312 children. On Earth, the Human Council assembled an emergency session. No media coverage. No public statements. Only verified data. Satellite images of destroyed habitats. Survivor reports. Weapon signature analysis. Dominion design. But identification codes missing. No official Dominion fleet had been operating in the region. Admiral Elena Reyes stood at the center of the chamber. She had served as a junior officer during the Resolute's first deployment. Now she commanded human strategic defense. They want a reaction, she said quietly. Dominion involvement? A council member asked. Reyes shook her head. No official fleet movement. No command traffic. This was a rogue operation. Then we demand accountability. Reyes looked at the casualty numbers again. We will, she said. After we make sure this never happens again. Human intelligence moved quickly. The 3 ships had regrouped in a remote Dominion border system. Their commander was identified within hours. Admiral Cora Vesh, former Dominion officer, survivor of the Grand Fleet Battle, removed from command 6 months earlier, publicly retired. Privately, she had gathered loyal crews and hidden vessels. Her stated belief, according to intercepted communications, if we do not stop humans now, they will control everything. The rogue fleet had grown to 12 ships. They were preparing another strike. The human response was not immediate. For 6 hours, nothing moved. Then, quietly, 9 ships assembled from hidden locations and entered the rogue fleet's system at low energy. Silent approach. Admiral Vesh detected them too late. She opened a channel. You are entering Dominion space without authorization. A human voice answered. Admiral Vesh, you attacked a civilian colony. Vesh did not deny it. They were human infrastructure. They are expanding too fast. The reply came calmly. You killed children. Silence. Then Vesh gave her order. All ships. Fire. The battle lasted 3 minutes. Human ships targeted engines first. Then weapon systems. EMP saturation disabled command networks. Precision rail strikes destroyed reactors only when ships continued firing. One by one, the rogue fleet went dark. Vesh's flagship remained operational but immobilized. Human vessels surrounded it. Admiral Vesh, the human commander said, you initiated an attack on civilians. Power down all systems. Vesh stared at her tactical display. 12 ships. Gone. 3 minutes. She laughed once. You're proving my point, she said. The human commander did not respond immediately. Then she said quietly, no, we're proving yours wrong. Vesh frowned. We are not here to destroy your people. The human continued. We are here to stop anyone who thinks killing civilians will change the balance of power. Silence filled the channel. You will surrender. You will be transferred to Dominion authority. And you will explain exactly what you did. Vesh hesitated. Then she looked at her powerless ship. Her surviving crew. The locked targeting icons surrounding her. Power down, she ordered. The human task force secured the remaining vessels, stabilized damaged systems, then transmitted full incident data to the Orion Dominion High Command. Complete evidence. Full battle logs. No accusations. Just facts. On Arinder Prime, The High Council received the report in silence. A Dominion rogue admiral, a civilian massacre, and a human response that had been fast, controlled, and restrained. The executor looked at the casualty comparison. Corrales, 17, 1,482 civilians. Human retaliation, 0 unnecessary losses. He closed the report slowly. For the first time, the Dominion understood something clearly. Humanity was not just powerful, it was disciplined. And disciplined power was far more dangerous than anger. The Dominion made a public statement. Admiral Cora Vesh had acted without authority. Her forces had been operating outside Dominion command. Her actions were declared criminal under Dominion law. She was transferred into Dominion custody. The announcement was brief, but the message behind it was clear. The Dominion was not protecting those who attacked humans. And the galaxy noticed. For nearly 3 years, the balance held. Trade increased. Borders remained open. Fleet positions stayed stable. Then something appeared that neither side had built. The system was empty. Designation, Carthus Void 9. No planets. No stations. No traffic. Just a dim red dwarf star and scattered dust fields. A Dominion long-range sensor array detected the anomaly first. A gravitational distortion. Small. Stable. Artificial. Within hours, human deep space monitoring networks reported the same reading. Coordinates matched. The distortion was growing. A joint observation agreement was activated automatically. 2 ships were sent. 1 Dominion science vessel. 1 human exploration cruiser. Both stopped at extreme sensor range. Because what they saw did not look like any known structure. It was a sphere. Perfectly smooth. Black. So black it did not reflect starlight. Diameter, approximately 3 kilometers. No visible engines. No energy emissions. No thermal signature. It did not orbit the star. It did not drift. It simply existed. Attempts to scan the object produced incomplete data. Sensor signals did not return. Radar waves disappeared. Gravitational mapping showed something impossible. The mass inside the sphere was far greater than its size should allow. After 12 hours of observation, the sphere reacted. Not with movement. With communication. Every system aboard both ships shut down simultaneously. Power failure. Navigation failure. Weapons offline. Life support switched to emergency reserves. For exactly 4 seconds. Then everything came back online. At the same moment, a signal appeared across all communication channels. Not audio. Not visual. Text. Perfectly translated into both human and Dominion languages. You are expanding too quickly. This region was quiet. Who authorized your growth? The crews on both ships froze. Because the question did not sound like a threat. It sounded like oversight. The human captain finally opened a channel. This is Exploration Vessel Horizon Path. We represent the sole authority. Identify yourself. The reply appeared instantly. We observe. We correct when necessary. The Dominion captain transmitted next. You are inside Orion Dominion monitored space. State your classification and intent. Your empires are temporary. We have seen expansions before. Most end in extinction events. Silence filled both bridges. This was not a local intelligence. This was something old. On Arinder Prime, emergency archive searches were ordered. 1 record matched, barely. A fragment from a civilization that had vanished nearly 50,000 years ago. The translation was incomplete, but 1 word appeared repeatedly. Watchers. Description. Observers of developing spacefaring species. Non-territorial. Non-expansionist. Intervention history unknown. The final translated line from the ancient record read, if they decide your species is dangerous, you will not see them coming. 1 council member asked quietly, if they've seen expansions before, how many survived? Nobody answered. The sphere transmitted again, directly to both governments. Why are you arming at this scale? A joint human Dominion response was sent. For the first time in history, both powers were presenting a unified position. The sphere went silent for nearly 2 hours. Then it transmitted again. You have shifted from expansion conflict patterns. You use force as deterrence, not control. This is unusual. We will continue observation. Do not validate our previous models. And the sphere vanished. No warp signature. No energy spike. 1 moment it was there. The next moment, empty space. The observation ships remained for several hours. No further anomalies appeared. But the effect spread quickly. For the first time, Humanity and the Dominion understood something larger. Their conflict had not been the biggest threat. Their expansion had not gone unnoticed. And somewhere beyond their sensor range, something older than their civilizations was watching. Not as an enemy, not as an ally, as a judge. On Earth, Admiral Reyes summarized the situation for the Human Council. We built our fleets to make sure no one could control us. A council member asked quietly, and now? Reyes looked at the empty space where the sphere had been. Now we make sure no one has a reason to stop us. Trade routes replaced battle lines. Joint stations replaced forward defenses. Fleet movements were tracked for safety, not suspicion. The Orion Dominion still existed. Humanity still expanded. But the tension that once defined their relationship had faded into something quieter, something more stable. Understanding. At the original neutral station, a small moment marked the shift. A Dominion merchant named Selvar had been trading there since the first month. One day, after completing a delivery, he entered a human-operated supply office. The clerk processed his documents quickly. "Anything else?" she asked. Sel hesitated. Then he said, "I expected your people to be more hostile." The human looked up. "Why?" she asked. Sel considered the question. "Because you could be." The human smiled slightly. "We didn't build all this to fight," she said, gesturing toward the busy station outside. "We built it so we wouldn't have to." Sel nodded slowly. That conversation appeared later in a trade network report. Not official, just a note. But it was shared widely, because it matched what many were starting to believe. Humanity was not expanding to control the galaxy. It was expanding to make sure no one could control them. And as long as that remained true, cooperation was safer than conflict. Far beyond the trade lanes, human fleets remained in position. Hidden bases stayed active. Shipyards continued working. Training never stopped. Because peace, to humans, was not the absence of preparation. It was the result of it. The story of the Resolute became required study in both civilizations. Not because of the battles. Not because of the destroyed fleets. Because of what happened after. The human ship had demonstrated overwhelming power. And then it had stopped. That decision mattered more than any weapon. Because strength alone creates fear. Strength with restraint creates stability. On Earth, the original crew of the Resolute had long since retired. Captain Adrian Cole lived quietly on a coastal colony world. One evening, a young officer visited him. She had just received her first command. "Sir," she asked, "when you went into Dominion space, were you trying to scare them?" Cole looked out at the ocean for a long moment. "Yes," he said. The officer hesitated. "Then why didn't we push further? We could have forced concessions. Taken territory." Cole smiled slightly. "If we had done that," he said, "they would have spent the next 100 years trying to stop us." The officer thought about that. So the goal wasn't victory? Cole shook his head. The goal was to make war look like the worst possible option for everyone. Far beyond the settled regions, the exploration ship UNS Far Reach continued its journey. Its transmissions arrived slowly. New stars, new worlds, careful surveys. Always the same closing line from the mission commander. Proceeding carefully, and humanity moved outward, still exploring, still growing, but no longer rushing, because somewhere in the dark, ancient